Dr. Chalise when we were doing our SILET, our School of Economics and Entrepreneurship. We were looking for a resource person who would be able to articulate and defend the virtue of markets and explain the importance of freedom to our young students. We had a very hard time trying to figure out a person who would be able to do that. And then one day, I suddenly stumbled across an article in Nepali which was titled, "Let's Close the Central Bank." And, it was as if I found the Nepali voices. I still remember reading that article and having my mind completely blown away. We then researched on the writer's background, and as we uncovered more and more of the work that Dr. Chalise had done in the past, we were completely in awe of the person that he is. So we finally approached him to come talk to our students, and he gracefully accepted the invitation. I remember the first meeting with him, and what had me even more surprised was his humility and modesty when I met him. Here was this giant of a Freedom Champion of Nepal, a former bureaucrat who had managed to introduce reform in Nepal against all odds. And when we met, we talked like old friends about Hayek and von Mises. It was, to this day, I treasure the time I'm able to spend with him. At every other step of my life, if I'm in doubt of the values I've committed to promote, I always think, what would Dr. Chalise do in this situation? In that sense, his thoughts and conversations with him are almost my moral compass for promoting freedom in Nepal. Even at Samriddhi, we continuously strive to maintain and expand his legacy in Nepal. If not for Dr. Chalise, I perhaps would have given up hope a long time ago. I know him as a man who is an optimist, has great faith in the younger generation despite an overwhelming opinion to the contrary. I know him as a man who will not compromise on his principles no matter how big the cost. I know him as a man who can be single, lone voice that does not give up even when the tide is against him. Above all, I know him as a man who has never stopped his curiosity of knowledge and is consistently learning new things, amazing me with it, and has this open mind that I can only hope that I have at his age. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming my personal freedom hero and Nepal's freedom champion, Dr. Bhola Nath Chalise.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor and pleasure to be amongst like-minded people and to have an opportunity to address such a distinguished audience. I am thankful to the organizer. Liberalism to me is a way of life, a set of principles that set the moral basis to lead a truly happy life, where I am able to go to street in peace at the end of the day with a clear concern that I have pursued the best of my ability and that I have not harmed anyone else in doing so, that I am in control of my future. However, the journey to fighting for more freedom in Nepal has been a long and arduous one for me. Today, seeing all of you here celebrating liberty in Asia and devising strategies and discussing the complexities of the freedom movement here in Nepal truly gives me pleasure. It is a world I had imagined I would be able to see, but it is here today. For this sole reason, I am optimistic that just to dream that truth will prevail, the pursuit of truth will take us closer to achieving freedom all over the world. And we need to continue to preserve our respective endeavors of promoting freedom and around the world so that we can really appreciate life and create an opportunity for every individual to achieve their happiness, to individual to bring out of the best in them. That's the beautiful world I've envisioned, and seeing many of you here gives me hope that these dreams are not lofty ideals but achievable targets. On this gathering of the third annual Asia Devotee Forum, let me take this opportunity to highlight some of the major challenges in promoting liberalism in Asia the way I see it. These are simply my observations and I cannot claim to have any expertise in the matter, but having lived in Nepal most of my life, those observations are based on my experience with my grey hair. So please accept them as observation at best, for I am quite Heineken in the sense of believing in the knowledge of time and circumstance as the best guide to decision making in a free society. On the onset, I would also like to make it clear that most of my observations point out to be two of the biggest challenges to promoting freedom in Asia. Firstly, the study of history and the pursuit of truth through lessons of history. I see the lack of study of historical events and their consequences as one of the primary reasons behind the widespread myths about human actions, and I encourage the next generation of people in this movement to pay particular attention to historical events and bring out the truth that's hidden in them. Secondly, it is the rise of fundamentalist views in Asia and larger ground that they are gathering in popular media as well as in policy. This is, I believe, one major challenge that we as liberals need to seriously take into account in our work. Based on this preface, let me make to some of my observations to challenges that liberalism faces in Asia. Relegating individual freedom and civil liberties to the background with the economy first argument. Firstly, the issue of relegating civil liberties to the background is an issue that I fear is going to cost us the most in the long run. A framework of political freedom is equally important to a framework of economic freedom, and indeed one can move with the other. However, with the rise of state-led capitalism, civil liberties are relegated to our background. Would not this be the warning that Hayek perhaps gave us in the road to Sodom? This movement, predominant in the elite of Asia, is yet another problematic development that poses a challenge to promoting liberalism in Asia. The rise of ultra-nationalist, ultra-religious views in South Asia as well as Southeast Asia also poses a huge challenge for creating a liberal society and a liberal Asia. The social belief that conformity is more virtuous than individual liberty, which has been reinforced by the stated dictated curriculums, is another major hurdle that we will have to overcome to harness individual potential and innovations. From recently formed nation-states of Afghanistan to long-established states such as that of South Korea, the problem of addressing the human rights situation of protection of basic liberties of individuals is a major challenge. The political system that we have set up in Asia does not necessarily facilitate the protection of rights and liberty. Opposition to establishment is immediately crossed. There is an increasing militarization of society in general, with fundamentalist views creeping into society. This has resulted in the political system being captured by vested interests and harmful groups that give no value to human rights and in extreme cases even to human life. Even those who are sympathetic towards the idea of individual freedom discard it by simply calling it an ideal. But why does the society accept left-leaning ideal as an ideal that should not and could be pursued and not the ideas of individual liberty? History does favor us in this respect, and a free and prosperous society is a result of individual freely made decisions about all aspects of their life, not just economic decisions. Therefore, we have a lot of work set out to protect our rights and freedom in Asia. State-led capitalism. Secondly, is the issue of state-led capitalism. I put capitalism in quotes because I'm skeptical as to what this system is exactly. For it surely is not the capitalism that is based on freedom of individuals and an environment where individuals freely interact and exchange. It is the rise of this system in Southeast Asia and China where economic growth is seen to be led by the state, the omnipotent body as perceived by many. It is the belief that all of the wealth created has been made by some grand design of some knowledgeable technocrats who can miraculously predict how free humans are going to react to market conditions. The belief in this idea and promotion of policies that adhere to the idea of visible state intervention in the economy, I believe, presents one of the primary challenges to promoting liberalism in Asia. It has baffled me how the intellectuals are ready to accept that this visible body of institutions, bureaucrats and rules can guide the actions of free individuals as if the free individual cannot think for himself or herself. Rooted in this belief comes the implication that the state can plan us out of poverty and will all owe our existence to the state. This kind of belief that the growth and lifting of millions out of poverty in China and India and the rest of Southeast Asia has been planned by great leaders who came into power of government mechanism is rampant and on the rise in Asia. Following the belief is also a dangerous implication that is taking hold in the populace in Asia that there will be a miraculous superhero somewhere who will take lead and resolve all our problems. I would call this belief a misrepresentation of history, and much work needs to be done to demonstrate and popularize the truth of how entrepreneurship and freedom turn around the fortunes of millions in Asia. Re-establishment of the mercantilist philosophy in the economy. Thirdly, we have been told through our economic textbooks and through every other educational material that the path to growth is paved by exports. Exports are the only way to grow. This has brought back the mercantilist philosophy in the economic mainstream in Asia, where protection of domestic industries through various technocratic arrangements that baffles the simple mind has emerged. This is the second challenge in my mind to promoting liberalism in Asia. The belief that South Korea, Japan, and the current emerging economy of Vietnam now have all made their fortunes based on simply on a continuous export, and that we need to preserve domestic companies from competition of foreigners, and that is supposed to increase the capacity of our domestic companies is an economic fallacy. The slogan therefore are, of course, we are moving towards a free market economy. This means we will work on creating policies that mix up market signals and promote products that are determined as top exports by so-called learned technocrats. Fighting this is going to be another major challenge in Asia. And the history of how South Korea or Japan or any of the emerging economies grew is on our side. That story needs to be told and retold of monetary policies and that money. In the long run, we cannot achieve a truly free society as long as our money is controlled by a few elites, as they can decide the fate of any individual or society by tampering our medium of exchange and value measurement. Therefore, we have to work towards regaining the control of our money, as it is the basis of having a free economy. Central bankers with power to print money have become the powers that decide on how economies run all around the world. With central bankers in power, the most essential of our freedom to operate with market signal is being distorted. Following this, we are seeing the rise in business cycles and prolonged recessions around the world. The situation is made worse by interventionist policies such as tampering with the interest rate through expansion of money supply and over-regulating financial institutions. While providing them protection from failures, the classic case of too big to fall financial institutions. In my lifetime, I have already advocated the abolition of central bank in Nepal. It is, of course, always says ripples of fear to the bankers club that has become the central bank, therefore the tag of a radical person for me. But this, I believe, is the first step towards really bringing the economy back on track by liberalizing it. Money, after all, is a commodity, a medium of exchange and a store of value, and at best, how has this become so complicated that we often are easily able to forgive the rapid devaluation of what we work so hard toward is beyond me. These, ladies and gentlemen, are my observation of trends in thinking along the policy arena in Asia. There is much that has been misrepresented, sometimes due to vested interest and sometimes due to the sheer ignorance. However, out of this observation comes the firm belief that we will never be out of our job. As someone once said, eternal vigilance is the price of liberty. I am sure all of us here are happy paying that price. Our job to promote freedom is filled with opportunities, and so many of you present here today are the beacon of hope. As I believe you today, I would like to once again reiterate how important I think the work you are doing is. Never before have we had the numbers we have today. Never before has private entrepreneurship and the wealth creation caught the imagination of billions as it has done in Asia today, and therefore, while much is to be done, the world as I see it is also full with possibilities of a freer tomorrow. I think the power to make that possibility a reality is centered in this room today. I thank you and a toast of liberty for you. Thank you very much.